All right, so we'll go through 2 and 4, it looks like. Just pull up graphs real quick.
Everyone's so quiet this morning. What's up?
It's like, I literally didn't hear.
You didn't like everyone sleep here, so.
Did you hear about what happened with the school shooting?
Yeah, who is that?
Some athlete.
It looked like he was wearing like heels on
It's Oxford though.
Yeah, they're supposed
It
So,
just
like,
looks like.
the athlete wasn't the shooter, that was the kid trying
Yeah.
to stop him, right?
Dude, let's be honest. He's the one all orange. You can't tell. No, that's not what I mean.
Oh.
You can't tell me you never wanted to like save the
Stop.
class.
Yeah.
You can't tell me.
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
can't.
Oh yeah.
No, like, you imagine that
Like
happening,
your crush, like you like jump in front of the board to save it.
No.
I've thought about
I
that.
don't saw that.
You can't.
It's like guy, like, all of us girls picture ourselves as running and screaming, so like, yeah, we have windows, we tuck and roll out the window.
Oh yeah.
Stone wouldn't, he just stand there.
So
waiting.
Yeah.
To make sure.
she came up, you'd be like, yeah, I'm going
So I like feel kind of a little freaked out about the whole school shooting thing, because like, I was running with friends this weekend, and one of them was telling me a story about our kids having like a lockdown, and I said, we haven't had like school, I probably shouldn't say this, but we haven't had school like shooting training recently, like since COVID, like we haven't talked about it. And I'm like, we need training, and then all of a sudden that happened Monday or whatever, and I was like kind of like, it was just eerie, like, because it's probably my least favorite like thing to think
Let's
about.
just train right now then.
Yeah, let's work. Yeah. Thanks, yeah.
Yeah, right out the window. It's like, bro, I'll show you my badge, just open the door. Yeah, and then they ran out the window.
Yeah. So the reason why I think I initially did number 2 wrong, because it's set up kind of strange. So it's kind of lopsided from what you think it should be, because this value should actually be over by the x, right? So the y squared should have nothing in front of it. Let's grab my little sheet here. So I write the formula correctly. So the way the formula should look is, since it's a y one, it should be y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. So I actually have to move that negative 1/4 over. So I had to actually multiply by negative 4 to move that to the other side. Oops, that should be x. So that's, like I said, I initially started doing this one wrong, and then I don't know what I did to like realize that, like I think I was kind of waiting for you guys to complain about it, and no one was complaining. I'm like, there's gotta be something more to this. And so, yeah, just moving that over first was definitely a tougher part of this. So this is a horizontal. But then if we're looking at that p-value, since it's a negative 4, it's actually a negative 1 is our p-value. So that actually means it opens to the left, because the p is negative. And if you missed that, like it would have just probably made yours a lot like smaller, I guess, probably. So then our vertex, there's nothing by the x value, so that's gonna be 0, and then the y value is the opposite. And I don't follow the rules as much as I go and look at the graph, so I like just graphing it and kind of taking things out of there. So the fact that I know that my vertex is 0, -2, and then my p-value is -1, and it's opening this way, so that means that my focus should be on the left side of this. So my focus should be right there. So -2, or sorry, -1, -2. So like again, I don't really use the formula as much as I kind of more eyeball it, but maybe that's just because I'm used to graphing them, but it's kind of up to you guys. Again, you get a cheat sheet, so if it's helpful to just write that all down. Our axis of symmetry is on the other side. So that'd be x equals 1 is our directrix. Axis of symmetry just goes through the middle. And then we're drawing our U. Now, when you guys do this, hopefully you start to get used to the fact that the further away the focus is, kind of the wider the graph should be. And if you didn't realize that, it's okay, like if you just draw your U. But the focus and directrix, like anywhere I touch the graph, those two should be the same distance away. So I'm not gonna take off if your U is not like drawn as wide as I think it should be. I was trying to test some points to see if mine was drawn correctly for one of them, and that's a total pain, so I wouldn't suggest doing that because it's gonna be all decimals and stuff. So that hopefully, the issue in this one was just the fact that that was on the wrong side. All right, so going to number 4. This is one of those we have to write the equation first. Now these were actually easier than the ones I did in our notes, so for next year's students, sorry, you're my guinea pigs. My next year students will probably get one that has it already, like an example like this rather than that one that didn't work. So when we do this, we want to move, basically the squared should all be on one side and then the values that aren't being squared on the other. So like, or the variable that's not being squared. So I'm gonna put all the x's on this side. Now, I want the y squared to not have a coefficient. So at this point, I divide it by 3. So I don't want a coefficient in front of the y squared. So this becomes 20x minus 60. Now I'm trying to figure out what my p-value is. So I'm going to factor this out. So I'm going to factor out a 20. I'm left with x minus 3. And now we're kind of in that form we were looking for. So in this case, 4p is going to equal 20. So that means p is 5. It's a y squared, so that means it's going to be horizontal, but it's going to open to the right because p is positive. My vertex is 3, 0, because that's my h and k. There's no k there. So, like putting this on our graph here. So 3, 0. And then again, my focus is 4 away from that. So going over 1, 2, 3, 4. And then going back 1, 2, 3, 4 for our directrix. Sorry, this should be, and you don't have to do it this way, but it should be a wider one because.
I have a question.
Yeah, the focus
Why
is.
is it 4 when
Oh, it should be 5, right? 5.
because of the P?
Yeah, because of the P. Yeah, sorry. Thank you. I think you were asking in general, but I was also in the wrong spot. So this should be over. Thank you. All right, questions there?
I didn't even on the when I was how I told you I got like vertical ones, horizontal.
Yeah.
I like got the orientation right. I just drew it vertical
Oh,
for
weird.
some reason.
Yeah.
Like I put horizontal on it. I don't know. I think I was thinking of this or something.
It's okay, you bring it.
You can really have all that stuff. Is that
No. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You should have seen the plan list.
I'll send you the messages.
Okay, I'll send them the
No.
exact messages.
You're not.
I think you should.
I think I should.
I think you should.
Hey, Cash.
You
So-
know you.
It's the only way I find happiness. Wrestling literally makes me like not happy. Like if I've never been happy in my life. Because of you guys.
date.
Oh, is there?
That's 1, 2, 2, 1.
Oh.
Wait, what?
Another palindrome that we
Oh.
decided in another class. We were laughing so hard because
Oh my
I should have made,
Carter.
yeah, it's a page of made fun of Carter when you see him. So he, we were talking about palindromes and like that, you know, it's the same way forward and backwards because of the date. It's the date again today. And then, so I think I said Taco Cat. And then Carter goes,
Fire truck.
fire truck. We're like, what? It's like, we're like, what fucking, like, what are you like? It was just like, he said it so confidently. He was just like fire truck. And we're like,
Race car.
race car. And I don't know if that's what he was getting
Right,
at.
race car.
Yeah, race car. Right, race car.
What's more?
Like, like short names like Bob.
Yeah.
Hannah.
Hannah. Oh, yeah, that's the one you brought up.
No, Joey brought that one.
Oh.
Let's go.
I didn't know what
Palindrome. Yeah, she was the one that pulled that word out. She was like, oh, it's a palindrome. And then we were talking about the odometer again, because then Frank's mom is also a math teacher, and they said that their mom does the same thing as I do when she's driving. So, see, it's a pattern thing. If I ever get in a car accident, do not blame me. Like, go check my odometer and see what it's at.
Yeah.
It's at like a good number. You're gonna be like, oh, see.
Oh, yeah. I understand now.
Yeah.
I just saw the number palindrome.
What's that? That's a good one.
Actually, it's incredibly funny.
It is
Actually,
funny.
it's incredibly funny, especially considering you're almost an adult. Wow.
All right. Okay, so we're graphing this parabola.
Right on the board, though.
No, we'll leave that one off the board. Thanks, though. You can write that on your paper.
Yes.
So the p-value in this case is what?
-2. Sorry, that sounded really like.
Is it vertical?
It is vertical because the x squared.
Oh.
Yep, x squared's the normal way we're used to. Oh my gosh. And it's opening down because it's a negative p. Alright, we're going to do a little flow chart for today, and hopefully you have enough space right where you're at. If you write really big, you might not. This is the back side of the notes blank. So if you write big, you might want to go on the back side of your notes. What we're going to talk about now is how to know if what type of conic we have. So I don't say, like if you look like further into the notes, like if it says to graph it, it's not going to say ellipse, hyperbola, you know, whatever type it is today. We're going to have to determine that. Now, there's a mathematical way to do it, and then there's kind of just like a logical way. I think the logical way makes I think it's a lot easier. I'll show you guys a mathematical way too, where I'll discuss it with you at least. But it's it's easier to do it, I think, just logically. And again, since we have a note card, we can put that on our note card. So I'm gonna go on this board instead, just so I can write more easily. I didn't erase it, I just moved it. Okay, so it's kind of like a little flow chart. I feel like this, now with COVID, we know all about flow charts because like, it's like, do you have a cough? Yes or no? It'll be okay, I think. Because if I make it small enough, it's okay. So,
What? Don't give me that.
whoops. This is the logical one. So the first question, are both x's and y's squared?
And that goes on like the overhead.
So you can, yeah, I would put over, we're gonna try to make this kind of into a circle. So I don't know, like it's kind of, like we're
So
gonna
this,
kind of,
can this be the top?
yeah, this can be the top right. So you're gonna look at your equation, are both x's and y's squared? And I do have like a little equation on the bottom of the page if you kind of want to use that as an example as you're going. So there's two options, yes and no, right? So if it's no, what's the type of equation we talked about where both of them aren't squared? We just, yeah. So if it's no, it's just a parabola. If it's yes, we have to keep going. And then ask another question. Our next question, are both the x squared and y squareds positive? And again, yes or no question. What kind is it if x squared and y squared are both not positive? Do you guys remember?
That's a hyperbola.
Yeah, the one that has a negative in it would be a hyperbola. So if they're squared, then it's going to be a hyperbola. All right, so if we're on to yes, we have to ask another question. Okay, so we can start going back around again here. So the next question is, do x and y both, x squared and y squared both have the same coefficient? Remember what changes that? When x squared and y squared have the same coefficient, what happens? What kind of shape is it? So if it's yes, it's a circle. If it's no, what is it? What's the only thing left? Ellipse. Alright. And this does work every time. This isn't just like, you know, like a sometimes thing. What's that arrow? Did yours make enough sense? You follow your flow chart?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, there's a very mathematical way down on the bottom of the page, but I don't know if I could use this one. I would say that I would just do that. I put that on there and we can decide by looking at example 1. So take a minute with example 1 to try and determine just by following our flow chart which type it is. So I'll give you guys